lot of reading to do. It's going to be quite... so who could tell me? It shouldn't take this long. Wow. Nobody takes notes these days? Where did we leave off last week? Yes, please. Sorry? Genesis 10 and 2. That was last week's? It did say 11:19. So we've got up a decimal. All right? No, last Wednesday. We're continuing with the Abrahamic covenant. Yes, please. Genesis chapter 17 and 23.
23 to 27 after that. Law coming into establishment.
All right. Genesis chapter 17 is the actual chapter we held up at. Just to bring us back into play, let's read, if you please, verse 15.
This is the book of Genesis 17 and 15.
And to all our brothers and sisters who tune into us each week, we say, Baruch Atah Yahweh, and we hope that you will enjoy this teaching. We're dealing with the Abrahamic covenant at this point, and we begin from Genesis chapter 17, begin reading from verse 15. Let's read.
And Yahweh said unto Abram, As for Sarah, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give her a son. Also of her, yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her.
Now, one of the things that it says is that she will be blessed and that she would be a mother of nations. Now, the question you must, or the points that you must look at, did the fulfillment of her motherhood take place right away? Thank you. It's a yes or no question. No. So now tell me then, brother, why did it not take place right away? Everything in the scriptures is never written by accident or happenstance. There is a reason for it. Because everything in this book is teaching us everything. Every dot, every comma, every parenthesis is teaching us. Even though you'll find that some of even the italic words that men have inserted, you'll say, well, that man put that there. The Most High allowed it to happen. There's a reason for all that is here. So it didn't happen right away. So what was the reason behind it? So what was what is it teaching us? Yes, please. Calm. Well, the fire is on you tonight, isn't it? So first and foremost, it's teaching us patience. What does patience require? Waiting. Now, remember, one of the things that we have failed to understand is that every scripture is given to the edifying of the body of Yahushua. We are his body, operating in the earth in his physical absence. So there are things that he's doing that requires us to be patient. Patience then means wait, awaiting. The scripture says, they that wait on the Lord, that's a scripture someone should have found then and big precept on it. You've got to get quick with that. You have to get into that habit. Brothers and sisters, you have to. Because if you don't, when you read the scriptures, the puzzles of it won't be clicking in place, and it's there for us. Why would the scripture say, wait on the Lord? What is the purpose behind it? Wait on the Lord. Yes, sir? back to that in a moment. Yes, please.
Isaiah 14 and 31 says, "Those that wait on the
Yeah, let's go there. Isaiah chapter,
14 and 31.
let's
40.
read.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and 40 and 31.
Mark it, please. Go on.
But they that wait upon the Lord.
There's a question. It said, read it again slowly.
But they that wait upon the Lord.
The but is your conjunction. Because not everybody is going to do that. But they that wait upon the Lord shall what?
Shall renew their strength.
You shall renew your strength. You will get stronger. But they that wait upon the Lord shall what?
Renew their strength.
Renew their strength. Let me say it again. And everybody needs to come in. It said, they that wait upon the Lord shall what?
Renew their strength.
Exactly. You will renew your strength. Read.
They shall mount up with wings as eagles.
The mounting up means that there is going to be a physical and spiritual change. To mount up like an eagle, you don't have wings. Then it must be speaking about you leaping then into the air. Read on.
They shall run and not be weary.
So it says you will have stamina and health that you could run great distances and not be weary. Read.
And they shall walk and
I want
not.
you to read it.
And they shall walk and not faint.
And you will walk and not faint. You will not lose your balance. You will not lose your equilibrium. Why is that so important? Because in your walk of faith, in this ministry, you have to believe that there are things that the Most High God has in store for you, but you must wait. And it may seem impossible, but you must wait. Everybody else around you is being blessed, but you must wait. Now, what is the waiting? It's what our brother just said. The word waiting comes from the same word that is used that men who serve in restaurants or in any capacity, they are serving. If you are expecting to be blessed and all you're doing is sitting on your lump and not doing anything, forget about it. You must serve. You must do it. Abraham served. His wife served. And they were quick to do it. At every occasion. Your serving causes a speeding up of the momentum of what you need. You want something from the Most High God and you're not doing nothing? Do you think if you worked at your job and you were just sitting there just playing around, do you think they're going to promote you? They promote you based upon the actions that they see is in you. There's something in her, in him, that we can use. So, read it again for me.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Isaiah 40 and 31. But they that wait upon the Lord
Read.
shall renew their strength.
Read.
They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary.
Now, the eagle thing, that's too much of a lesson to go into that because we could really break that down. But let's get back to Genesis chapter 17 and 15. Read.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 17 and verse 15. It reads, And Yahweh said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be.
Read.
And I will bless her and give thee a son.
Go on.
Also of her, yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations.
Of nations. That is way down the road. But it begins with one seed. That seed is her having a son. The one thing that's going to lead to a great nation begins with one speck. Therefore, your faith has to be switched on. But read.
Yes, sir. And she shall be a mother of nations, kings of people shall be of her.
Read.
Then Abraham fell up on his face and laughed,
Go on.
and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old?
Read.
And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear?
Read.
And Abraham said unto Yahweh, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
Go on.
And Yahweh said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac.
Go on.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
And his seed after him. So remember, we are always trying to minimize and trying to see if we can work the miracle of the promise. You don't have to do anything because you didn't make it. All you've got to do is make sure that you're waiting, you're serving, you're ministering. You do those things, then he begins to bring everything together. He'll bring people in the midst of you that wasn't there before. And all of a sudden they have turned up. And yet they are going to play a vital role in you becoming what you have to become. Come on. Now, jump down to verse 21. Quick, because we're
Verse 21.
Hold it. We're going to pull episodes. And as we pull the episodes, I want you to read. So you have to stay tight with me. Read.
Yes, sir. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac,
Read.
which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
So there is a set time. So timing is not removed from this. Whatever is needed in your life is tied also to time. You have to allow time to flow. Don't become impetuous. Be patient. That was one of the qualities of Job that we just were reading about before we came online. Jump down to verse 23. Read.
Verse 23. And Abraham took Ishmael his son,
Read.
and all that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin.
And they were what?
Circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the self-same day, as Yahweh had said unto him. And
all right. Drop that. Jump to chapter 18. Read verse 9.
18 and 9, it reads, and they said unto him,
Slacky, jump back to because I also got to be aware of some people not aware of the story. All right, begin reading from verse 1 and we'll jump through. Go on.
Genesis 18 and 1. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre.
Read.
And he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day.
Go on.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him.
Go on.
And when he had saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground.
Now, why did he bow himself to the ground when he saw these men? Can someone please tell me? Why? Why did he bow his head to the ground? Why? Yes, sir? Why did he think that, though? Yes, sir?
They didn't look like ordinary men.
Didn't look like ordinary men? Not really. And the reason why I say not really, because whenever an angel comes to the earth, the angel, one of their position is to fit in completely, seamlessly. You see that? So yes, they did look like ordinary men, but there's a reason. Just think about it. Just think a little bit more about it. Why? Can anyone tell me? Why did it seem? Yes, please. Say again? I can't hear you. They were showing humility. Well, yes and no, but not really. Why? Let me put it to you this way. If you were in a desert place, and there you are with your tent, and when you look around, there are not many trees, it's pretty much plain. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 3 people are standing there. You didn't see them walk up because usually you would see people coming, right? And as they come in, you would say, some people are coming. Then they may be about maybe half an hour, maybe an hour away, but we can see them from a distance, can't? But these men just appeared and they were right there. They were walking towards it, but they were right there. And in the plains where they were, you could see everything around you. So how did they get here so quickly without me seeing or observing them? That's the reason. They appeared and they were right there. And maybe 100, 200 yards away, but they're coming. How did they get there so quickly? And yet I've been looking out across the plain and I've seen nothing. Are you seeing that? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so the keys to what we should be looking for to get to that answer is, like in verse 1, it says, he sat in the tent.
Correct.
He sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And verse 2 to start, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood.
Correct.
There.
Read it again, sir.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Genesis 18:2. And he lifted up his eyes and looked.
Read from the top.
And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre.
Plains, meaning there is not much trees. A plain normally means an open area for all eyes to see. Read.
And he sat at the tent door.
And he sat in the tent door, so he had good visibility. They didn't come from behind. They were coming towards him. Read.
In the heat of the day.
Heat of the day, meaning at the highest time when the light is at its best. Read.
And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him.
Go on.
And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door.
All right.
And bowed himself toward the ground.
So this is how he knew. Because they came out of nowhere. Read.
And said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight.
Because he knew that this was no ordinary vision. So he said, my Lord. And notice the spelling. Khan? Do you notice the spelling? Read.
If now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant.
From that servant. Now, why is that so important? Because traditionally, our forefathers always greeted those who were traveling in 2 ways. One, to give what? Yes, sir.
Water.
Water. And the second would be what? Washing the feet. And so, watch what it says. Read.
Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched.
Go on.
And wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree.
Read.
And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts, and that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant.
Read.
And they said, so do as thou hast said.
Go on.
And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah.
So it's almost like let you know you do good, you get good. Right? Can't be selfish. It should not be in our nature to be selfish. It should be in our nature always to be giving. What does the scripture say about giving? Give and it shall be given unto you. You have to be able to give in order for something to be given back to you. It must be a practice. But we've learned to be very selfish. We should never be in a supermarket where we see one of our people struggling to make a payment to buy something and you stand there looking. Should never happen in a million years. It shouldn't happen. You say, whatever that is, whatever, I've got you covered. We must be quick to do things like that. That's how our foreparents operated. I remember how my mother used to talk about, in fact, they used to, when they made dinner, take this bowl to that sister. I remember that because I was the one that had to take it. And I hated to do it. I'm going to be, why? Because I ran into one of my friends. I didn't want to see me carrying soup or dumplings and potatoes and yams all covered over. I didn't want to see. I mean, I've got to keep up my image here. But I had to do it. But in doing those things, it paid me back, because even though I was the servant carrying out that, there's a blessing in you being the deliverer. There is nothing simplistic about the scriptures. I've got to keep ramming that in. Everything we do comes back to us, whether it be positively or negatively. And so read on, sir, read.
6. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the earth.
Read.
And Abraham ran into the herd and fetched a calf tender and good.
In other words, you're giving your best. When you have guests, you don't give them what is not your best. You give them your best. Some of you who are my age, remember our foreparents used to get out. We used to have what's called a cabinet. And they would go and bring out the best plates, the best glasses, the best cups. And you've seen those things sitting there for years, not moved. Then all of a sudden someone turns up. Now, son, go get the teapot in the cabinet. And then let's get out the saucepans and all that. And you bring them out. So you're giving them your best. I'm sorry. Some memories just flew back into my head. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we did.
That's right.
That's why they used to have this cabinet. Did you call it cabinets over here? Yeah. And you got all your display of your plates and all of the cups and sauces and all of that. And when your guests come, you give them your best, right?
Right.
And so this is what he was doing. This is what our forefathers. We know this had to be a Negro man.
That's right.
And so he did this, and then he went, the scripture says, and Abraham ran unto the herd, and he fetched himself a calf tender and good, and gave it to the young man. Read on.
And he hasted to dress it.
To dress it. In other words, to season it. Read.
And he took butter and milk.
Oh, and they're telling you now, you shouldn't eat butter. This is butter coming directly from the goat itself. Goat milk, goat butter. Nothing more healthier than that. All right, let's keep going.
And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed.
Go on.
And set it before them.
Read.
And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat.
Read.
And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent.
Read.
And he said, I will suddenly return unto thee according to the time of life, and lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son.
And notice, there are times he will give a time that you will be blessed, and blessed you will be indeed. There are times he will tell you, you will receive such and such by this time, and you get it indeed. Oh, God, I could give some testimonies, but let's read on. Read.
And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind them.
Read.
Now Abraham and Sarah was old and well stricken in age.
Mm-hmm.
And it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women.
What does that mean? Could someone tell me? It ceased to be with her, because she was stricken in age, in the manner of women. What did that mean? Yes, sir.
She was past the childbearing.
Yes, but that's not what, yes, that is what it's saying, but I needed to be more specific. Yes, sir.
Grace and peace. It was like she was no longer going through what women go through.
I need you to tell me what it is, sir. I don't want to be guessing up in here. Huh?
She no longer went through the cycle.
Yes, a monthly cycle. Thank you. It's not a bad word. It's not bad. It's not cussing. It's not swearing. All right. So that's what ceased to happen. You see? Now, the reason why that's important, because you've got to also bear this in mind. Where we are from, this is some history about us now. Where we are from, our sisters, their cycles operate in a different way than you here right now. You medical ones, you know what I'm saying. Why? Because based upon what you're eating, it can trigger or affect how quick or how soon it ends and how soon it begins. Now, back in our land, because of what we eat, and what it is meant to go into your bodies, your cycle is completely different. Better, in fact. Are you hearing me? So here, because we don't waste time on that issue, it says, verse 12,
Therefore, Sarah laughed within herself.
now, she laughed as well. What and why is she laughing? What was the purpose of her laughing? Her laughter was for what purpose? Yes, sir. Yes, indeed, but yes. Yes. Yeah, the fire is on you, man. It truly is. Because the husband laughed, she now laughs. And what does that mean? You are in agreement. They're in agreement. Because he laughed, she laughed, and what it also does, it sets the concordance of his name. Because his name means laughter. Be careful you make me Isaac tonight. Be careful you make me laugh. Because that's really what it means, God. And so read for me, please.
Therefore Sarah laughed within herself.
Go on.
Saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure?
Now that is the doubt. That is the doubt. You see, that's the doubt. Now remember, doubt is caused from what? Unbelief. So if you believe, what is going to be prevalent? No, he just said it in the reverse. If you believe, unbelief leads to what? Thank you. So if you believe, what is going to be present? I'm trying to work your brains tonight. If you believe, what is say what you just said. Unbelief leads to what? Doubt. Write it down. Unbelief leads to doubt. So it's like a sum. It's like a math problem. Unbelief leads to doubt, right? So belief, I've got belief. So what is present when you believe? Heavens. Unbelief, if you unbelieve a thing, it leads to doubt. Doubt. Doubt is there because I unbelieve. Now, if I believe something, what is going to be present? No. What do you say? No, come on. Help me, Father. Yes, ma'am. No.
The hopelessness.
If you believe, I believe God. If I believe, what is going to be present? Close that door in here. All right. Sue. If I believe, right? All right. Unbelief equals doubt. So we know that doubt is so we know that doubt is there because of unbelief. I don't want to make this long, but I need to drive the point home so you won't forget it. So if I believe, what is going to be present also? Because you can't believe. Whose hand was up? Sister Elizabeth. No. Yes, please. No. Yes, please. Torah. Oh, you're going to say the same thing? No, okay. So, what do you, who's that? Yes. No. If I believe something, I must not have unbelief, because if I have unbelief, then it is doubt. So if I'm going to believe something, you have to know that this thing is going to be present as well, because this thing's whole objectivity is to cause your belief to be something else. Yes, ma'am. No. So, all right, let me just say, if you have belief, what is going to be present? Mr. Doubt. I see you weren't expecting that. Doubt is always going to be present when you believe. Why? Because the whole objectivity of doubt is to make you what? What did you just say? Not believe. It's the opposite. You can't, if you're going to believe, doubt is going to be present. Because something's going to be there to check your belief. Do you think, like all of you, has any of you in this room just believe? I just believe. No, none of you have. You are challenged by your belief, but it's your ability to overcome the things that would make you not believe, which is doubt, so that the belief can be fulfilled. When I believe, I'm going to be challenged. You can't believe. Do you think, what does the scripture teach us? Let's go New Testament. It says, when you have received the truth, there are things outside of you that's going to come to try and pluck up or pluck out the truth.
Mark 4.
I just need you to find it, not to tell me it, because you're on a mic and everything you say goes on the mic.
Yes, sir.
So, if you, but go ahead, Damon.
Man, and ye shall be hated by all men for my name.
Well, that's one. Because if you, tell me what you got.
Yes, sir.
Mark chapter 4, 14.
Come.
And the sower sowed the parable of the sower.
All right, let him read it now. Go ahead.
The sower soweth the word.
Read it again.
This is Mark 4 and 15.
Read.
The sower soweth
The what?
The sower.
That's right, because you said the sower. All right. The sower what?
Soweth the word.
Right.
And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown, but when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately.
So she was told something that was going to happen. She was told it, and she was told it by the best source going. But whenever you have been given a mandate, the enemy is always there to pluck that mandate out of your mind, out of your spirit, and out of your heart. That's why many of us don't believe that like we should. You've got to learn to believe in spite of whatever negativity people are saying. You've got to learn that quality. And in order to hold that belief, you've got to put faith on top of it. Because we walk by and not by what we're seeing. But you've got to believe it now. Some of you have heard it, but you never believed. Some of you are believing for your healing, but you've got to believe that doubt is going to come, but you've got to relinquish that devil. He's going to bless me with this. And doubt creeps in right away. But what if I don't have a job? My credit's not good. I'm not like him, or I'm not like her. Shut up. You have to recognize that when the Most High says something on your behalf, believe it and don't let no one come and steal it. Because in Mark, it's telling us about all of the different adversaries that will come to uproot the very thing that was given to you. Read it, sir.
And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately.
What?
Satan cometh
Immediately. So when you believe, the thing that is present right there is what? Doubt. Read, sir, read.
And taketh away the word.
And does what?
Taketh away the word.
Take away the very thing that was given to you personally. They told you were going to be blessed. They told you were going to, and the Most High told you that this was going to happen to you. And he said that this would, but you let some, and then what do you do? Like a dummy, we go and share it with everybody. You know what? I had a dream, and the Lord told me, no, I don't think that's going to happen to you, sis. Nah, that doesn't happen in this day and age. The very thing that was that you were meant to be impregnated with by the Spirit, you end up issuing it away because of doubt. Read.
And taketh away the word that was sown in their heart.
The word that was sown. The word that was sown. In her case now, let's get back to Sarah. It was the seed that was sown in her. And what was the seed? That her body would be germinated, meaning brought back to life. Because she was dead. She had no blood. And life is in the blood. So he spoke that and said, this time next year, you will have a seed. And she laughed. A laughter covenanted with her husband who laughed earlier. And read what it says.
Genesis 18 and 20. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure?
That's the doubt. Read.
My Lord being old also.
And now she's cast it on him too. Misery loves company. Read, sir.
And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old?
Read.
Is anything too hard for the Lord?
That's the key. You are making some simple thing hard for the Almighty, and there is nothing that's too hard for him. Nothing. He's still doing today with us as he did in those days. And please don't keep telling me, oh, but that was biblical time. We are still in biblical time because he has not returned as yet. So we're still in biblical time. And therefore what happened to my forefathers can still happen to me today. Read, sir.
Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee.
Read.
According to the time of life. And Sarah shall have a son.
Notice, and shall have a child. Shall have a child. And it says, yes, and shall have a son. And then it says, read.
Then Sarah did not say, I laughed not.
So she lied now. Read.
But she was
but I didn't doubt. I believed. I did believe. No, you didn't. Because laughter is your doubt. Because if you'd believed, you'd be jumping up and down and running around and lifting your hands and saying, yes, this is happening to me. Yes, I'm blessed. Read.
And she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence.
Go on.
And looked towards Sodom.
Read.
And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way.
So he now goes with them. Now this part we're going to deal with quite quickly. Read.
And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do?
So now, notice here, it says, and the Lord said, shall I hide? This is now capital L-O-R-D. Early on, we read capital L, lowercase o-r-d. Did we not? All right. So now, because that was Yahushua, right? But now the Father now is speaking. Shall I hide this from Abraham? Shall I withhold this? But then it says, read.
18. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation,
Read.
and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
In him. Read.
For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him.
See, all those things right there are laws. That he will do what? Command what?
Command that his children
And what?
and his household,
And his household. Read.
and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him.
Spoken of him. Now, jump down, if you please, to verse 25. Read.
Verse 25. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked.
Because he knew that in the city, Lot was there. So he was saying, would you slaughter the righteous with the wicked? Read.
And that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?
Read.
And the Lord said, if I find Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes.
Jump 28.
28. Peradventure, there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for the lack of 5?
Jump to 29.
29. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, peradventure, there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake.
The latter clause of 30. Peradventure
Yes, sir.
there.
Peradventure, there shall 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30.
31. Peradventure.
Peradventure, there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake.
32. Peradventure.
Peradventure, 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake.
Read.
And the Lord went his way. As soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place.
Read.
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said,
Now, why did he do that? Why did he do that? Yes, sir. Same reason why Abraham did it. Now they came in the evening time. So now, I would say this would be between the absence of light and beginning of darkness. So what we would call today twilight. And so when they came, and they appeared out of nowhere, and he looked, and he saw them just suddenly standing there. He recognized that these are more than just men. Read.
Sir. And he said, behold now, my lords turn in. I pray you into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
All night. Now, why did they say that? Why did they say, nay, we will not stay with you. We're going to stay in the street all night. Why did they say that to him? Yes, sir? Yes, it was indeed a test. Go ahead.
Also, because they were looking for the number of men that was agreed upon for not destroying the city.
That would come later. But the best part of that is the fact it was a test for Lot. You see, if Lot had left them there, then it would have shown how despicable Lot had become. You see, Lot would have become something quite despicable by this time. To leave men that you know are men of God, and to leave them there. These are the angels of God. And but instead he bid them, and he almost was begging them. Why? Because he knew the condition of the city, and that at night the demons come out. Read.
Verse 3. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him,
Read.
and entered into his house.
Go on.
And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Go on.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round,
So they surrounded the house, the dwelling place of Lot. Go on.
both old and young.
Hold it. Old and young.
Con.
Showing that the depravity had affected all ages. Now, you've got to, what is that a reminder of? What is that a reminder of? Old and young. And yet he is living there among them. The challenge, however, with him, he's doing it by choice.
I was just going to say that we're in it. but it's
Say
not
that.
by-
Say that again, sir.
We're in it.
Absolutely.
Not by choice.
Those are the words that I want. We are in it, but we are not in it by choice. When we say, well, we can leave here and we can get out of here when we want to. Okay, so where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? I'm going to go back to Africa. Or where are you going to go in Africa? Who you know in Africa? See? This is what you know. You know this corruption, because this is how you've been raised in this corruption, as we all have. Con? Then watch what it says. Read now.
Both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
Every quarter, remember, all cities carries usually 4 quarters, right? All right, so that means everyone from all over the city had come. Go on.
And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came unto thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
Now, these men were distinguished because of what? What makes them distinguished? Your answer is both here as well as in the so-called New Testament. Anyone? Yes, sir.
They wasn't known.
No, it wasn't that they weren't known. Lots of people, remember, it's a metropolis. It's a major metropolis. It's a sister city. It's Sodom and Gomorrah. They're side by side. You see? So people do business, go backwards and forwards. It's like having 2 cities beside each other. You could be in one city and say, well, I'm going to go over to that city tonight, or go back to this city, because it was side by side. But remember, one of the things that was outstanding with these men was that they were fair. They were fair. Now, how do we know this? How can we prove this? Again, time won't allow us to go to the scriptures and do all of that. But I can tell you where to find it. It's in the New Testament. When they went to the grave of Yahushua, they saw a young, fair man sitting on the stone that was rolled away. And uses the words like fair, meaning he was a good-looking man. These were good-looking men who turned up. And when they turned up, the men saw, and with the corruptness of their spirit, they saw them as food to their lustful souls. And then when we read on, it says, read.
And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes.
Now you should be making a note. 2 daughters that have not known men. Because more information comes for us later. So 2 daughters that have not known men. He said, let me what? Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you.
And-
Don't read over me. I'll give you opportunity. Unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Read on.
Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
So they are under the protection of my home. Read.
And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs
Hold it. It said this one came in and sojourned with us. And so what does it mean by sojourn with us? Huh? No, don't get the word journ confused with travel. This is English. English is confusing. It's a silly language. So don't confuse that. It said sojourn. That's why in the English language we spell everything stupidly, you know. Right, yes, ma'am. Yes, you stayed with us. You sojourned. You stayed with us. Read.
And he will needs be a judge.
And you think you are now a judge. You think you're in our city, and because you stay here, you think you're a judge. Read.
Now will we deal worse with thee.
Now we're going to completely ravish you. These are very despicable men. Now, what you're seeing here, which is not said, is rape, male rape, and whether you recognize it or not, we are heading into the future. I don't even need to say future; it's happening right now. It's just that it's not yet on the streets like it could be. But the raping of men, young men, is going to be prevalent in the future. Prevalent. Because this here story is speaking about a Babylon. Sodom and Gomorrah. Why does it come up all the time in the book of Revelations? And telling us how this Babylon that we're in is like Sodom and Gomorrah. So the raping of men, that's in the future. That's why men can't act too sissified. Men have got to act like men. And watch what it says now. Read.
Now will we deal worse with thee than with them.
Then with them, go on.
And they pressed sore upon the man.
And they did what?
Pressed sore upon the man.
Go on.
Even Lot. And came near to break the door.
Go on.
But when the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door, and they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness.
So all the men that were trying to make their way forward, the angels of the Lord smote them with blindness that they could not see. And by the way, it wasn't just the men, young and old. Read.
Both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door.
Couldn't find the door now. Read.
And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law?
Hold it. Notice what it says. Hast thou here any besides, ? Son-in-laws? Huh. Read.
And thy son?
And thy sons.
And
So those that are married to your daughters, as well as your own sons and their wives. It says, read.
And thy daughters?
And thy daughters, go on.
And whatsoever thou hast in the city.
In the city, meaning that if they weren't in the house, they could be out and about. So, it says here, read.
Bring them out of this place.
Go on.
For we will destroy this place.
Go on.
Because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord.
Read.
And the Lord has sent us to destroy it.
Go on.
And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law.
And spake to who?
Sons-in-law.
So he had sons-in-law. Are you seeing a different picture here?
Con.
He had sons-in-laws or men that were married to his daughters.
Con.
So he just didn't have just two daughters as you would imagine. Because remember, he said, we read earlier, he said, I have two daughters that have not known a man. The word known in the scriptures comes from the word meaning to have sex. And sometimes the scriptures makes it even plainer. That's why you'll hear two words used. One is known, meaning sex, and the other one is lay. Hence where we get the expression today. Con? And so when we read on, it says,
which married his daughters and said.
Which did what?
Married his daughters and said.
Go on.
Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
But he did what?
Mocked unto his sons-in-law.
All right. So what can you explain to me there?
You mean the whole passage or just that one verse?
Well, the whole passage, because I don't want to rush the rest because it's just too good to kind of just run through it. If we run through it, then there's a whole lot of meat that we're going to leave behind, and I would like us to expose it. Con? Yes, sir.
He went to the homes of the sons-in-law, or the daughters' homes of the sons-in-law, homes to tell them, look, if we don't leave now, we will be destroyed. We need to leave. They thought it was, well, I won't say they thought it was a joke, but they made fun of it.
Yes, they did. They thought it was a joke. They did. They thought it was a joke. You're right. Stay on that. They thought it was a joke. Why did they think it was a joke? Because they're there in Sodom and Gomorrah. This is the happening in this place around. This is what's the saying that they have about Vegas? What's
in Vegas stays in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays
that's the word. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You see, and that's what they were carrying on with. Yes, ma'am. Say that one more time for me, please.
Because the two daughters did not know man. But they were married.
No. You see, he has more than two daughters. You see, he has more than two daughters, and he has more than one son. You see, because some of his daughters, because it says sons-in-law, more than one. You see, and it mentions. And then further, if we shoot back up, it mentions, let's go to verse 12. Read that again.
Verse 12, and the men said unto Lot.
And doctor, slow it down, please.
Yes, sir. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters?
See, so it's letting you know he had more than one daughter and more than one son. And in the house, there was only one son-in-law at the house. But later on, we read where it speaks of son-in-law, meaning that there could be more son-in-laws. You see? So, finish it.
Yes, sir. And
thy daughters, and whatsoever.
And thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city.
In the city, letting us know that not all of them were here at home. And this is why we have to read the scriptures slowly. Because all of these details that are there for us, we miss them. And so we have a very one-sided, lean-sided view or understanding of the man Lot and his family. And then it begins to shift you into an even greater understanding as to why his wife would later, as we will find out, end up doing what she was told she shouldn't do. Because her heart was also there looking back for her children. See? So it's a lot more detailed than what meets the eye. And again, I don't want to jump ahead of it because there's a lot of detail there, Any questions from anyone? We're going to stop there at verse 14, so you can make your notes. Genesis chapter 19 and 14.
Actually, I have one more.
Yes, so go ahead.
At the beginning of 14 is where you find out that he left his place of dwelling where he was at.
Let's go back and read it.
Yes, this is the book of Genesis 19 and 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law.
Stop right there. That's the key.
Read it one more time.
And Lot went out and spake unto his sons.
Read it and name it, please.
This is the book of Genesis 19 and 14. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law,
Go on.
which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law.
Right. So remember, that's why he had to go out into the city to find them. And remember, if we had to use some artist license with this, we would attest that an angel went with him, because they weren't going to let him go out there by himself. So an angel would, remember, one angel could take care of all what's going on in the house, no problem. You see, so one angel there, the other goes with him to warn his other family members of the situation that's taking place. Khan? Yes, please.
Is that why at the beginning Abraham is asking if you find 40, if you find 30, if you find 20?
Correct.
We didn't really know how
Correct.
big his family is.
Correct. Good question. Because it explains that he did not know. This is years now. Years had now flown by. And Abraham does not know the size of the family of Lot. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how many children or grandchildren. He doesn't know. So what does our good old father Abraham does? He begins a bidding negotiation with the Most High. And how do we know this? Let's go back. Because we see a couple of things here. Jump up, if you please, to verse 22.
1922. This is the book of Genesis 19 and 22.
Mm-hmm.
Haste thee, escape thither.
No, it's 18, because we can't be 19 at 22, because we haven't got to 22 yet. No.
22. This is the book of Genesis 18 and 22.
Read.
And the men turned their faces from thence,
Mm-hmm.
and went towards Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord.
Before who?
The Lord.
Before the Lord. Now, you will notice that the term Lord in capital L-O-R-D and lowercase L-O-R-D are intermingled there. Why? Because the angel that is speaking, that's Yahweh as we know him, right? But the Father is also speaking through him. Are you getting that? All right, let's prove that. And so when we read on, let's see, we're going to jump right away. Go to 26.
Yes, sir. 26. And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city.
Now this is the Father speaking. Because he's actually bidding, because the Son is the messenger, but the Father is the one who gives the final command. And he says, if I find in Sodom, read,
50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes.
Read verse 27.
And Abraham answered and said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes.
See, so he recognizes he's speaking to on the all-powerful. You see? And you will see that translated throughout all of the scriptures leading down to verse 32 and 33. But watch the difference with verse 32. Watch what he says now. Read.
Genesis 18 and 32. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry.
Right, because you recognize he has tested the Most High thoroughly at this point. Read.
And I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there.
Right, so he wanted to make sure that there was at least a minimum amount that should the angels go there, and it is only this much, that at least now the Most High would have mercy and spare them and not allow danger, destruction to wipe them out. But read on, watch.
And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way.
Stop. Read it again.
And he said, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake.
Read.
And the Lord went his
Stop.
way.
What is the spelling of the Lord in verse 33? Hmm? It shouldn't be. It should be capital L, lowercase o-r-d. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It's in
Right? Right. Right. Depends what version you're using. But it is in fact now, the Son now, the Most High, the Father has finished speaking with his authority through the Son, and now it is the Son. And then it says, and the Son, it said, and the Lord went his way.
as soon as he had left communing with Abraham. And Abraham returned unto his place.
See, that's why I always like to read the version of Scripture that gives you the proper distinguishing factors. So here, the Most High finished speaking. Now the Son recognizes this debate is over, and he goes on his way. Does it make sense to you so far? All right. Now remember, the reason why this is all confusing as well to some degree is because, remember, then where the word Lord is, in the original, it would have had the name Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. But they took all of that out. And that's why now we have to discern this through the Spirit. Or the Scripture says, by the Spirit. Khan? All right. Any questions? Any further questions? Right. All right. All right. Your question, and then, well, go ahead. Are you trying to liken it to Noah? And, well, there is a similarity, but not necessarily the same, because remember, with Noah, he had over 100 years. With Sodom and Gomorrah, that they have just the moment that they're dealing with. Yes, Sister Dolores. Yes. Yes, we haven't jumped there yet. We haven't got there yet.
18.
18 and 20.
Did you say 18 and 20? Oh, Salakia, go ahead.
It's the book of Genesis 18 and 20. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Your question, please.
What is your cry like? Because in 19:13, it talks about the cry is waxing great before the Lord. What is the cry?
Well, it's the same as where we are right now. Right now, America is pushing its own laws. What is one of the number one laws that none of us saw coming, that happened only under Obama's office? Well, what was the one thing that caught everybody off guard? Gay marriage. Who knew? I wasn't expecting it. But to see, the people who expected were the people who had already paid for that. That was bought and paid for. That wasn't something, he wasn't going to finish his office and nobody knew what was going on. That was bought and paid for. And so what happened was, the sins of Sodom had grown to such a degree that it was free-based among the young and the old. There was no say, well, the older ones were doing, the children were innocent. No, The children were at it. Can you imagine children carrying on in that way?
Yes. True.
I mean, it's beyond me to even try to imagine children being carried on that way and older men carrying on with children. Remember, I can't remember the exact. I think it's called youth. It's called youth. I think it's called euphemism or something, where old men can have relationship with young men. It's called euphemism. I think it's called. I think it's called euphemism. Check it out for me. It's where older men can pick young boys and have relationships with them. We know it's happening, and again, because I'm going to be teaching on it, but I'm just collecting some more information. They actually have colors. They have a logo that they wear it, and the men know what it is. We who are ignorant to that, we don't know what that badge means. But that devil who knows what it is, he knows how to make his approach. Children are now involved. And we know it's bad because children are now making decisions for their bodies that they have no clue as to what their experiences is going to be in the future. You see? So these are the things that are happening around us. Con?
Con.
All right. So we'll have to stop this now with our on-air brethren, and we will continue when we're off-air because we're going to be dealing with the, we're going to continue just a little bit because we're going to be celebrating the new moon that we are experiencing today. Con?
All right.
So is there any questions online, man?
Is it off-topic request?
Go ahead.
Shalom. Can you do a breakdown on unclean fowls? I can't come to a conclusion of if chicken and turkey are unclean or not.
All right. How say you, brothers? This is something that you said, yeah, blah, blah. You should be giving me the answer. There's not even a but on that.
It's not unclean.
All right. All right. And, you know, the others are putting their hand up. As I said, you're on the mic. You can't be sitting there. You're getting a real good ribbon today. Right. Yes, sir.
Chicken and turkey are not unclean, although I've heard that argument before.
Yeah, I've heard the argument too.
Because when they say this for because it has 3 toes.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell those are not toes of the flock. Entirely different things.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not unclean. You can eat that.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Doc? Yeah, we know that. The question is chicken or turkey. I don't want to invite anything more, otherwise we'd be going on for another half hour. So, all right, so man, there is the answer. All right, those fowls are not unclean, and we can eat them. We can. Con? All right. So I don't know whether it's a brother or sister. My brother or my sister, have at it. The only thing I'm going to ask you not to do, please don't be doing it on any Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving. All right? All of those stuffings and the red sauce, they all have meanings, and we don't participate of that because it's the killing of our own bloodline, our own families. All right. Well, on the behalf of all of you who are there, we hope that you've been blessed. Please do continue to tune in. And this story is getting even more riveting. There are some, I've stopped it there because we don't want to miss out on the rest that's going to come. And we look forward to gathering again on Wednesday of next week, should our lives be spared, and the return of the Lord tarries, and we shall come together to study even more. Scripture says, study to show thyself approved, a workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. On behalf of myself and the family here, we want to say shalom.
Shalom.
All right, so, yes, sir, your question.